I'm a 42-year-old man, and my world just imploded. I discovered my wife of nearly 2 decades has been lying to me for 8 years. Even worse, I found out the last two children I've raised as my own are not biologically mine. My wife, Jessie, who is 41, and I have been together since college. We built a life, a home, and what I thought was a family. 8 years ago, she introduced a man to me, claiming he was a candidate she interviewed for a position at the recruitment firm where she worked. She told me a story about how he was brilliant and perfect for the role, but the company decided to hire someone internally through a reference. According to her, she felt terrible that he would leave with nothing after such a promising interview. She said she didn't want his talent to go to waste, so she recommended him to me, suggesting I could use someone with his skills. I trusted her completely. I had a growing business and was looking for a reliable manager to help handle the day-to-day operations. This man she introduced seemed like the perfect fit. He was calm, incredibly organized, and diligent. He aced the interview I conducted, and I hired him on the spot. He quickly became indispensable, not just as an employee, but as a friend. Over the years, our bond grew stronger. We weren't just colleagues, we were best friends. We hit the gym together 3 times a week, played golf on weekends, and our families often had barbecues together. He was always so respectful towards Jessie, almost formal, which in hindsight should have been a red flag. He treated her like a boss's wife, never crossing any lines that I could see. I never suspected a thing. Why would I? He was my right-hand man, the friend I confided in, and a person I trusted implicitly. He was a fixture in my home and in my life. A few months ago, everything started to unravel. He was in a serious car accident on his way to work. It was a brutal hit and run, and he was badly injured. I was the first person the hospital called, and I rushed to his side. I stayed with him for days, making sure he had the best care, handling his personal affairs, and keeping his family updated. I did what any best friend would do. While I was sitting by his bedside one evening, his phone rang. It was Jessie. I answered, thinking she was probably worried and trying to reach me, as we were always together. She sounded flustered on the phone and quickly said, "Oh, I was just trying to call you. I figured you'd be with him." Her explanation seemed plausible at the moment, but a seed of doubt was planted. Later that night, a message notification lit up his phone screen. I couldn't read it because the phone was locked with a password I didn't know. A strange, unsettling feeling washed over me. I tried to shake it off, telling myself I was just paranoid from the stress of the accident. I went home that night, but couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying Jessie's phone call, the tone of her voice, the quickness of her excuse. It just didn't feel right. Something was fundamentally wrong, and a cold dread began to creep into my heart. I decided then and there that I wouldn't confront anyone. Instead, I would watch. I would observe everything quietly and wait for the truth to reveal itself. I started paying closer attention to the small details, the little interactions, the guarded glances. The truth, when it finally came, was more devastating than anything I could have ever imagined. Last week, an opportunity presented itself. Jessie left her phone unlocked on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. My hands were trembling, but I knew I had to look. I went straight to her messages with him. And there it was. 8 years of an affair, laid out in explicit detail. They hadn't just reconnected. They had been intimate for the entire time he had been in my life. The worst part? It happened in my house. In my bed. While I was at work, building a future for what I thought was our family. The messages revealed another sickening truth I had missed. I found out he wasn't just some random candidate from an interview. He was her ex-boyfriend from college. They had reconnected at a school reunion about 5 years before he started working for me, not 9 years ago as she claimed. The entire story she fed me about the interview was a lie, a carefully constructed Trojan horse to bring him into our lives, right under my nose. As I scrolled through the years of messages, a horrifying detail clicked into place. My manager, my friend, has a very distinct birthmark on his left shoulder blade. It's a small, uniquely shaped brown mark. For years, I had noticed that my 2 youngest children, a boy and a girl, had the exact same birthmark in the exact same spot. I had always brushed it off as a funny coincidence, a 1 in a million quirk of genetics. I even joked about it with Jessie once, and she just laughed it off, saying it was one of life's little mysteries. Now, it wasn't a mystery anymore. It was a glaring sign of betrayal. I couldn't ignore it. The thought was a cancer, eating away at my sanity. The next day, I told Jesse I was taking the kids on a special daddy's day out. I drove them to a private clinic 3 towns over and had their DNA tested against my own. The waiting period for the results was the longest week of my life. When the email finally arrived, I felt my heart stop. I opened the attached file, and the words blurred through my tears. The results confirmed my worst fears. I am not the biological father of my last 2 children. My best friend is. The messages I read on my wife's phone made it clear that he knew. He knew he was their father all along. Every time he came over for a barbecue, every time he played catch with my son in the backyard, every time he held my daughter as a baby, he knew. He was playing a part, just like my wife. They both looked me in the eye and lied for 8 years, watching me raise his children, love his children, and provide for his children. I feel utterly broken, like my entire life has been a sham. The man I called my brother and the woman I called my wife built a secret life on the ruins of my trust. My first instinct is rage. I want to scream, to break things, to confront them both and make them feel a fraction of the pain I'm feeling. But I know that's not the answer. Violence won't fix this. It won't erase the years of lies or change the DNA results. To keep myself from doing something I'll regret, I needed space. I told Jessie I'd want a surprise luxury vacation for 2 and that she deserved a break. I booked her a 1-week, all-inclusive trip to a resort and drove her to the airport myself. Then, I called her parents and told them there was a family emergency and that I needed them to watch the kids for a little while. I packed their bags, drove them to their grandparents' house, and hugged them goodbye, trying not to let them see the tears in my eyes. Now, the house is silent. It's the first time I've been truly alone in years, and the quiet is deafening. All I can do is think. The pain is a physical weight on my chest, so heavy it's hard to breathe. I've started drinking to numb it, cracking open a bottle of whiskey as soon as the sun goes down. I know it's not a solution, that I'm just borrowing a little bit of peace from tomorrow's misery, but right now, it's the only thing that keeps me from completely falling apart. The hardest part is the children. I love those kids with every fiber of my being. I was there for their first steps, their first words. I taught them how to ride a bike, helped them with their homework, and tucked them into bed every night. In my heart, they are my children. They have only ever known me as their father. So now I'm stuck in this impossible situation. What do? Do I divorce Jessie? How can I ever look at her again without seeing the betrayal? Should I send the kids to him, their biological father? The thought of them leaving rips my heart out. Or do I swallow this unbearable pain, say nothing, and continue raising them as my own, pretending I don't know the truth? Can I live a lie for the rest of my life for their sake? I don't know what to do anymore. I'm lost.